Los Angeles, I'm and most Hollywood nights. She goes to California, oh, California.
What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying,
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy, the show that talks 100% LA Galaxy soccer. We're glad you could join us. Now it's time to sit back and relax as your hosts navigate through the twisting, turning, but never boring world of the five-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. I'm your host, Josh Guesman, coming to you on a Thursday, April 1st. Happy April Fool's Day. Although, let's not make a habit of telling lies on this show tonight. We're gonna be truthful with you. No jokes. We have some great stuff for you. We have a world premiere music premiere coming up. I don't even know how to say it because I've never done it because nobody ever trusts me. I have a feeling you're gonna love it. So stick in there. It's coming right up. We're going to talk about the LA Galaxy scrimmage on Wednesday night and why that really doesn't matter, but it does, and we'll talk about that. We'll get you to Tucson. We'll tell you who's arriving in Tucson. We'll talk international guys as well. So a lot of stuff to get to. It's a packed show. To help me do it, you know him. You love him. It's the Hammer himself, Mr. Eric, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira. Eric, how's it going, buddy?
It's going very well. I like your, Liga G, FIFA announcers we've got down. The radio DJ, we still need a little bit of work. Got weather on the 7s. We got a new debut track dropping. Yeah, so we'll work on that. But excited. It's April Fool's. I like that we didn't try any tomfoolery or shenanigans. We went straight for it, and we're playing it straight, which I appreciate.
I didn't, I refuse to say, the track is dropping, but I guess that is the correct terminology in this particular case. So I didn't want to, I didn't want to overhype it. I didn't want to underhype it. I wanted it to be natural, and there's absolutely zero way that I'm going to be able to natural my way through this. There's nothing there for me.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time.
It's fun. You and I have already heard the track. Mm-hmm. Before we even say anything about it, are you pumped that this is coming out?
I'm very excited. I like the hype around it, the fact that it's Galaxy centric. I mean, how often do you get, songs about your soccer club, especially in particular the LA Galaxy? So, you gotta hold on to those moments when they happen, and then when you actually listen to it, you'll say, hey, this has got something to it. Of course, we have the two whitest guys are going to be bopping our heads to the hip hop track here, but we're not ashamed. We're not too cool for school.
No, I mean, one is I would like to say that I have horrible taste in music, but I also have good taste in music. I know what's going to play well, and this is. I mean, I've talked to the creator of this track, and I was kind of blown away. I mean, it's always something you hear people do stuff on the radio and you're like, man, that sounds amazing. And it's so professional. This is every bit as professional as everything you've ever heard. And it's centered around the LA Galaxy. And I almost don't know how to wrap my head around that. So it's super fun. So, I mean, let's just play. We can tease. We can tease all we want. So let's play a little bit from this. Now, let me give you the information, the stats, all the stuff that you need to know about this. The name of the song you are about to hear is called Riot at the Tailgate. It's off the album 1996, and that album is going to drop on April 25th. This song, however, is coming out the first day MLS is back in season on April 16th, okay? Right at the Tailgate, coming out April 16th. The album, which I've been told has 4 more songs on it, is titled 1996. Do you already feel where we're going with this? The artist is Arquitekto Verbal. All right, I'm sure I screwed that up. I apologize immensely for it, but let's give you a little taste of what he has in store for you coming up on April 16th.
Let's hit the stadium, welcome to the tailgate. La carne asada, las cervezas and them fine babes. Throw on a jersey and represent for LA. Let's keep it pushing through the 110 on the freeway. So bring the soccer ball, we getting at the soccer moms. Politic with OGs, waiting till the game is on. 121, sit behind the goalie bond. Sunday night soccer, call me when the game is on. Gotta put the flags up, Kobe with the mask up. Cosmo in the galaxy, we about to blast off. Oh yeah, it's about to be lit. In the sky with the fireworks to go with a chip. We about to micheladas, come and get me a sip. Gotta show us some love, come and chill for a bit. Seen her go for the fame, or my hat with a trick. So don't go for them lames, be a G with us quit. 9-6, remember we the veterans who trying to be the veteran and mastering the elements.
All right, again, just a little bit of a tease there. I hope it's coming across as well as you and I are enjoying it here, Eric. But again, the name of the song is Riot at the Tailgate. It's coming out on April 16th. So the first day MLS playing on that Friday, 16th, 17th, and then the 18th, the LA Galaxy play against Miami. We know that the name of the album itself, and we'll give you links to all this whenever it drops. That way you can make sure you get it and support a wonderful artist here. And the name of the album is 1996. I'm told I think there's 4 more songs on the album, Eric. So there you go, a little taste. I mean, can you tell me you can't hear that playing around the stadium whenever you walk up to it? I mean, are you going to roll down the windows and bump that as you're pulling into the stadium? I feel the vibe.
Not only that, but it'd almost be imperative for the LA Galaxy maybe to get involved and adopt that, because it just ties right in perfectly. And of course, if you're going to name the song Right at the Tailgate, we had a carne asada name check, we had a michelada name check. Again, you could tell what I was listening for when I was listening to that. And then of course, the atmosphere in the stadium. So yeah, I could absolutely hear this being played at a tailgate before a game as people ride into the stadium. And then, as some type of like hype video, promo video, I could totally see this blowing up and being a thing. So, big kudos to Arquitekto Verbal for his track there. I think it's gonna be a banger, as the kids are saying.
Yeah.
Can we sound any worse?
No, we're not.
Arquitekto Verbal with a banger.
I'm so,
but no joke. It is a fun time. I think I could totally hear Galaxy fans getting behind this and blasting it at the tailgates.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So definitely check it out. We will. I think we're probably going to play a little more at the end of the show too. So if you miss some, I'll play a little bit more. We can't play the whole song. That was the rule. I have heard the whole song. However, it's not like I haven't heard it, and Eric has heard it, and I believe it stays open to it too. He enjoyed it. So. Nice. All those things are going for it. All right, let's get to a little bit of LA Galaxy news as well. Let's start with the scrimmage, even though I have a feeling we're sort of going to bounce around a little bit in terms of the timeline, but the scrimmage is at least fresh in our minds. I don't know. I almost fell asleep. It's not exactly... It's interesting because you get to see some guys who you wouldn't have seen, right? And that's sort of like the big takeaway of that. It's like, oh, okay, these are guys who are fighting positions down the roster. These are guys who are fighting for positions even on Galaxy 2, because there were 2 trialists who were playing in this game as well. And those are Galaxy 2 trialists, not LA Galaxy trialists, if you look at the note there. So, this is Greg Vanney trying to do some things, and it was interesting. Obviously, I watched the whole game. I didn't fall asleep, I promise. But what you saw, and then talking to Greg Vanney afterwards, right? Because it's one thing to sit there and say, Eric, oh, well, the Galaxy lost 4-1, and then just like close the book on that. And I think most people kind of want to do that, which is, oh, well, they lost and they're not undefeated anymore. Yeah. And it's like, well, there were no starters who started the game. 0 starters. 0 perceived starters to see now, even though he may end up being a starter. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'd almost say it's almost still in it as first team. It's almost like there are very few first team regular players on there. And I don't know how to say this without coming across like a jerk, because, we've been waiting all this time for the LA Galaxy to come back, and then they come back and we have some games to look forward to. We can watch the game online if you're in the 90 mile radius. And, you kind of see the lineup and you go, oh, okay, I don't know if I can get real excited about that. But the positive thing is once they start playing, you do kind of pick up on the nuances, try to notice some formations where they're playing some of these guys. And so that makes it a little bit interesting. But at the end of the day, this wasn't first team LA Galaxy going to give you an idea of what the season's going to look like. And so from that perspective, it's, it didn't really do much for me, but from, for the players who are on the field, they were playing for a lot, and there were some highlights for me. I mean, obviously, when you lose 4-1, it's not all going to be highlights. And I think, not to discredit the team that was on the field, but New England was running out their MLS starters, their players, their regular players, and they were just a level above who the Galaxy put out on the field. But there were some shines. I think Jalen Neal, showed that he has some sparks there. Barajas, who got the goal, showed that he's probably going to be a good signing for G2. So there were some bright spots there. But when you lose 4-1, there was also a lot of ugly spots, and just showed the difference from an MLS caliber starting team and what is truly a USL level side that they played against.
Yeah, it was. And, I think it's interesting. Talking to Vanney afterwards, I asked him really, what were you trying to get out of this? Because obviously I know these guys aren't starters, and he knows these guys aren't starters. So it was interesting to sort of see I always think when you look at what coaches are trying to do, it gives you an insight into either where they think the problems are or what they're trying to accomplish with like certain things, right? There was clearly an idea that he had for this. And one of them was that the starters are probably going to play on Saturday, and so they're not going to play on Wednesday night. You have plenty of time to be short rested, and this isn't that time. You don't need to short rest guys, in the preseason. You're building some fitness for some guys. I think Sasha Kleshin certainly was a fitness guy in there. I think Villafana in the second half was a fitness guy, right? He needed more minutes. He got 30 minutes before, he goes for a full half, 45 minutes. So they stretched him in a week from 30 to 45. So that's good. All of that stuff, sort of goes into what are they trying to accomplish? And Greg, answered back, and he says, I'm trying to assess how these guys are understanding what I'm telling them, which I think is a really cool thing. He also said, by the way, I'm assessing myself too of how well I'm teaching them, right? And so the whole deal. So he went through and he says, listen, he goes, the first half I thought was very good. He goes, we matched the pace of the game. Yeah. He goes, listen, those mistakes we made were stupid and they're simple to fix. He goes, so I'm not really worried about those. Those will go away. He goes, but the way that they played and the way that they were able to sort of fit in the system, he goes, that worked. He goes, I saw it. I saw what I needed to see out of these guys. And certainly he's looking at individual performances as well. The chat room mentioned Jalen Neal. Jalen Neal, I thought, played well. And I think Jalen Neal has played well. He's not starting in Major League Soccer, but I have no issues with him coming off the bench to do some things sometimes. So I liked him. Dunbar was a little quiet for me in this game, but he clearly has enough talent to play against MLS level caliber players. So I see that as well. I don't know. I mean, what can you take away from a bunch of guys who are probably never going to play on the field together?
Well, to me, I look at the players who they signed from G2 and who are now technically first-team roster guys, someone like a Jalen Neal, like a Marcus Furcranis, and you say, okay, what is it that either Vanney or Teclosa saw that made them get first-team deals? And when you see their composure on the field, you do see the difference there. You see it, what they saw and why they're bringing them up and having them, train with the first team and get that first-team contract. So I think that is something where you finally get to see, okay, maybe if you weren't following G2 as closely, Adam Saldana and Johnny Perez as well, those players who maybe didn't get a run last season, you see, okay, now I see why they get those first team deals, and you see that spark of that positivity that if you foster them correctly, that you can see a positive future with them. Same with Dunbar, and I was listening to Monday's show, with Kevin Baxter talking about how maybe, for whatever reason, the coach GBS last season didn't seem to give him the run out, but when you see him with the ball at his feet and when he makes those runs, to me, and I know this is such a silly thing, but when you look at the players warm up, and last year we were fortunate enough to get to the stadium and you see the players warm up and kind of prep for the game. Dunbar, just when he's warming up, you just see he has that extra thing, you know what I mean? Just the way he handles the ball and his smoothness and his calmness. So I'm excited to see a little bit more of him. The fact that he was involved in I'll call it the A- team or what the previous scrimmage, that he was involved with that more than this Wednesday night scrimmage, I think is a good sign as well. So again, you take away the moments, and I agree with, of course, I'm going to agree with what Coach Greg Vanney says, but the mistakes that were made, I'm just going to say it, they were bonehead moves, and you can fix. Okay, this is an easy fix. It's not like this player can't run, or this player doesn't have the skill, or he doesn't have the legs, or whatever it is. It's okay. We can coach those mistakes out of some of these players.
Yeah, and then you had the second half, and Vanney wasn't happy with the second half, but he also, and whether this is a coaching thing, and certainly coaches do this from time to time, Eric, which is, hey, it's my fault. I'm going to take the blame for this, so don't worry about it, the whole deal. But he took some blame for it. I assessed him because he goes, I really assessed myself during this. I go, well, you say you grade yourself, so how'd you do in this game? And he forced a laugh. I wish I had the clip and I was going to play it just that way everybody could. But if you go back and listen to the break, he was like, wow, this guy already with the dad jokes. So he went in and he says, I think I screwed some things up. I was talking to the defense, and maybe I gave them too much to do. The things we were trying to do, I think I gave them too much to do too soon. And remember, they're adapting to a style, they're adapting to a system, and then he's like, I want to tweak something because I see what they're trying to do, and this is what we're going to do to counter that. And you know how, and I don't know, it's really easy for me to explain in like the flying thing. Whenever I was learning to fly, right? You have to do so much stuff whenever you're first learning that it's like, it's information overload. You can't process it. It's impossible. You're always fighting to catch up. You're always behind things. You're always trying to catch up. And then eventually you get good at it. And eventually you absorb it and you don't have to like think about it. You're just doing it. And that's where the Galaxy are right now. They're in the thinking about it phase. And until they get to the I can just play soccer because my natural instincts now already fit within the system. Until they get there, you're not going to see a good Galaxy team. There are going to be mistakes. There's going to be hiccups. There's going to be bad passes to people whenever you're like, well, that guy should have been there. I know he should have. And it's like, well, no, not in this particular instance because of this. You have to make those mistakes and learn from that stuff. So for me, there's not a lot you can take away from it except you look at individual performances, because I don't think you could sit there and say, a bunch of these guys are going to be on the field for the LA Galaxy. But, some of the performances stood. I thought Jonathan Klinsmann looked as shaky as perhaps I've seen him. And I don't know if that's because we were viewing everything through the David Bingham looking glass, or if that's where he's at.
I think it's I don't know if worse than that. The difference is we just watched Jonathan Bond put on a clinic a few days earlier, and then to go from that shift to Klinsmann to see him be shaky, it became pretty clear the number one and the number two roles. If there was any question, and I think it was pretty, signs were pointing in the direction that it was going to be Bond 1 and then Klinsmann 2. But if there was any question about it, you saw the way Bond played on Saturday night, and then the way Klinsmann played, and it just didn't have that same shaky performances as well. And that's a tough thing with preseason, because you're supposed to be someone who's been with the first team and supposed to look a level above maybe some of the other players on the field. And I don't know that he looked a level above, like he was better than those other players.
You're skating around it. He didn't look like he didn't look like he was a level above.
Nice.
You are being nice. That's fine. I understand. Listen. There's
because you don't want to read too much into it, because it is a preseason game.
It is, but at the same time, I think we have a right to expect more from Ethan Zubak. I mean, he played starting minutes last year. He was a starter. Whether that's good or bad, it's not great for the LA Galaxy, because he's clearly he's not as talented as Chicharito. No, if anybody argues about that point, we know that to be true. That is a truth. Okay, so the fact that he got so many starting minutes is not a great thing for the Galaxy last year. It should be a good thing for them this year, though. You look at Augie Williams in the second half, and I didn't see much from him in the second half. But the second half was a bad half. Greg Vanney didn't like it. Nobody liked it. So Here, Logan with a little super chat for us. Logan says, "I'm sorry, but Zubak should not play soccer anymore. I can't keep on watching someone that always looks confused on the field." Okay, so there's Logan. Logan laid it down. That's good for Logan. He paid for the right to be able to say that. So, you know, if Zubak is upset about that, just understand that was $5 of Logan's money that he needed to tell us that in order for that to come on here. So that's a pretty strong opinion when you pay $5 for it.
Yeah, and we all nodded our heads as you were reading that as well, which also says something. So again, it's one of those at some point, you know, do you want someone to succeed and you applaud the effort, but at some point it's just okay. We got to cut your losses at a certain point. And I think with Augie Williams getting that run at forward and Zubak being shifted on the wing, that kind of gives a sign that maybe he's not going to be playing that striker role or be the second in command like he was last season.
Yeah, it's again, I think people often think that, like, I don't want people to succeed, and the best thing would be that the Galaxy have all these amazing players and they have no room for them and they can't possibly get them on there, and so the success there is tangible. You know, even covering the team, I talk to these guys on a regular basis. It's so much more fun to talk to people who are feeling good about where they're at and what they're doing, and that hasn't been the case in the last 3 or 4 years, right? We know that. You know, we know that the LA Galaxy have not been good in that time and that the individual performances have not been good most of that time. So even whenever you're looking at all this, you have to sort of say, yes, I want them to succeed. The bottom line is not all of them are. And you may see a changing of the guard here. You have Zubak, who was called up last year to fill a hole and did that. All right. He wasn't great. He had some good moments. That's good. But you need to see him take a step forward. I'll tell you, Augie Williams is breathing down his neck. And if the LA Galaxy need to, they'll send somebody. They'll send somebody to the, you know, to the Galaxy too, which they did, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit as well, just so you understand the roster spots that can be open and things that are happening.
And you see it. I talked about it with Dunbar. Just you see him for a few moments and you say, okay, this is it. You know, he's got it. Just, you know, you want to see more of it. And it's conversely, it works the other way. You see, you know, an offside call or a reckless challenge and a bad first touch. You're like, okay, you know, how much of this do we need to see before we can say, you know, we know what we got and maybe it's time to go a different direction.
Ed from over at the Riot Squadcast, he's in the chat room. He says about Logan, who had to get that in there. He goes,
it's a great line.
He goes, my man was like, screw my Starbucks for tomorrow. I got to trash Zubak. Thank you, Ed. Will with a little super chat as well. Will says, please address when Robbie Keane statue will come. Will, I mean, I don't think he's next. I mean, you know, I agree with you. It'll happen. Will it happen in my lifetime? As long as I don't get hit by a bus tomorrow, probably.
I was going to say, way to go dark on this one. I think they're going to move pretty quickly probably on getting these statues. I think a Robbie Keane statue will come.
Yes.
But you're right. It's probably not next in line.
I mean, Kobe Jones is certainly in the list of that. Landon Donovan is in the list of that. I'll be honest, Zlatan is if you're talking about somebody who grabbed worldwide headlines and a person they'd want to put a statue up of, Zlatan Ibrahimovic is in that as well. There's lots. Siggy Schmidt, quite honestly, might eventually get a statue. Bruce Arena might get a statue. I mean, you could start saying, you know, Mauricio Cienfuegos, maybe he gets a statue as well. We've talked about this before, but we'll see there.
Yeah, that area. Again, of course, now when you're put on the spot, I can't think of the name. It's not the Champions Lounge. It's the Victory Circle Garden. I'm just going to keep saying word jumble until we get there.
Amphitheater.
Yes. But basically, there's enough little spots, and the Galaxy have enough historic moments and historic players to fill that thing if you really wanted to.
It's called the Champions Front Yard.
There you go.
Okay, no.
Champions is in there. Someone in the chat's going to hit us with it.
They're going to be like, you guys are idiots. And so, you know. Last time, I honestly, I haven't even seen that place in a long time. Even when Steve, who's photographer Steve Carrillo, by the way. If you need any photographers to take pictures or do anything, hit up Steve. He's one of our COG photographers, and he's amazing, dude. I love him. He goes, the Circle of Honor. It's not the Circle of Honor that's inside. It's the one that's outside. It's Champions Plaza or something like that. I believe Champions Plaza or one of those different things. Yeah, it's one of those. We'll figure it out.
Champions Plaza sounds right.
Okay, yeah, there you get a statue. Everybody gets a statue.
Everybody gets a statue, and you're right. There's enough moments to make it work.
You can do that. So anyway, that's where we go. Is there anything else we need to recap? I mean, Klinsmann, there was a scary moment there where he got hit in the head again, which is not something you want to see from a guy who's just coming back from a concussion. Legends Plaza, Steve Carrillo. There he goes. All the marbles to you, Mr. Carrillo. Steve's the man. He's sexy too. Just letting everybody know. So that's sort of where we sit with that with New England Revolution. The Galaxy now, of course, shift everything over to Tucson, right? And so on Friday, I believe they're flying to Tucson. Somebody goes, why don't they just take a bus? Because nobody wants to be stuck on a bus for 8 hours. Because that's about how long it would take if you drove on a bus from LA to Tucson.
Yeah, a bus from LA to Tucson. That sounds like a punishment. Like that's something like. If you're writing, if you're transferring a prison transfer, that sounds like that's how you'd get there. These are professional athletes. Let's get there quickly.
Yeah. They can probably hang in there. All right. Let's before we get into the Tucson stuff, and we'll talk about who's going to be there and all those things. Let's talk about the ticket sale, because there was a ticket sale today. Yep. Today was the day for season ticket members to purchase their tickets to the season opener on April 25th against the New York Red Bulls. Let me tell you some information that I found out. So we thought that we were going to get a 33% bump whenever everything went into the orange tier, right? Red tier is 25%, orange tier was 33%. We estimated that, put it at approximately 8,800 right in there. The 5335 was the 20% capacity, and then orange was about 8,802, right? Well, I talked to the LA Galaxy and I said, so you guys are going to have the 8,802, right? And they said, no, we can't. And it's not that they can't do it according to the tiers, it's that there is still a thing called social distancing that you have to maintain. And between the pods, you have to have 6 feet of distance between each pod. And Dignity Health Sports Park is not big enough to do 8,800 people basically and keep the social distancing there. So they're in the 25%. Not the 20%, not the 33%, but around 25%. They don't know exactly how many people that'll be because it sort of depends on which pods get taken and all that stuff. But we should have a number somewhere in between there. So maybe there's 6, maybe there's 65, somewhere in there. It feels like that's right around the number that we're now talking about. So if you're expecting more people to come into Dignity Health Sports Park, you have to wait until the CDC or the California Health Department shortens those social distancing requirements, because that's the guiding factor right now.
Yeah, and I know with the return to schools being a hot topic, there's some guidance where it's now going from 6 feet to 3 feet, so that's changing. So maybe with an outdoor event, it switches from 6 and check out the perspective and see what it looked like. It seemed like there was maybe some math done on how it would be figured out. The way they do have pods set up, it's in groups of one, between groups of 1 and 8. So they have, a section where maybe there's a single seat, then maybe 3 seats, then maybe 4 seats, then maybe a pod of 8. And then the way it works, you do have to buy your whole pod.
Right.
So, you need to buy your pod of 3 if your 3 people are going or whatever it is. And then it's same household is what they're requesting. So it seems like the way they had it spread out was pretty well organized, or maybe there was some math that went into that to spread it out appropriately, but to also maximize those groups. So you have the groups group together, and everyone's going to have an opportunity somewhere around the stadium. I thought the process seemed like it went pretty well. I feel like we were worried that maybe the people who had earlier access were going to get a better shot at tickets than maybe the people who had a later window. But it seems like the people who really wanted to go were able to get tickets. It seemed like they were available if you hung out long enough. There were spots in the stadium for you to get. So I think. Maybe if you were creative and maybe coordinated some times with some friends, maybe you were able to, work something out and get something ahead of time. But I feel like if you wanted to get in the stadium, people were able to get into the stadium. I didn't see, we kept a close eye. I got a text from you this morning. Pay attention to Twitter to see what it is. And right. Siri sent me a reminder to pay attention. So today I paid attention. I didn't see anyone complaining that they didn't get tickets or they got left out. So I feel like if people wanted to get in, they got in. So kudos to the Galaxy for organizing it in a way where it looks like people got what they wanted.
I'll say this about the whole deal. I think everybody was really panicked that it wasn't going to go well, and I think it went well. I think in most cases, I think everybody, like you said, got who wanted to get in. Now, they did it in 3 sections, right? The premium seat holders got first dibs. Everybody was worried that the premium seat holders were somehow going to buy all the tickets. I'm like, you guys don't know the premium seat holders. Like, first of all, there are some real diehards that are premium seat holders. I know a bunch of them. And so they got their tickets and they were happy and they left. People were upset that if you only had, Eric, let's say your season ticket membership only came with 2 tickets, that you were able to buy up to 8. Everybody was afraid that that was going to mean there's no season ticket member agreements right now. You don't have you don't have season tickets, Eric. Everybody who says that nobody has season tickets in 2021. That's not how it's working. They're operating everything outside of the season ticket member agreement. So don't worry about that so much. They got rid of it for a reason, and I understand why people were panicked. I'm not dismissing that.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, that's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you could, but did people? Yes, some people did. Absolutely, they bought more tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you saw it, and it's popping up in the chat. There was some resale. If you went on the website, you saw some resale tickets for $300, $250, $350 reselling these tickets that were the highest, field level seats. The highest price was $100. So even if you're reselling at $250, you're already marking it up, quite a high percentage there. So that definitely was a thing. So I could see people being upset with that. But like I mentioned, I think the people who wanted to get in were able to get in, but the people who wanted to buy extra and be opportunistic, because supply and demand is a real thing, and they know that once those sell out, that they're going to be able to hold the cards in the next couple of weeks. So they took advantage of that situation. So however you feel about that, it's a little bit cruddy, because that's not what that was intended for. And you want these tickets to be in the right hands,
right?
And you want it to be, honoring it at the price that they paid for it. So I understand the hard feelings against that, and that is pretty wrong. But also, this happens every season when there's full capacity.
Right.
El Tráfico, those tickets on resale, they're higher than when the Colorado Rapids come to town on a Wednesday. It's just the way it is. So
it's just no a bad different feeling.
It's a bad feeling, but it's no different than when you have a full capacity stadium.
Yeah, and for me, I'll say that, as the owner of the ticket, once you buy it, you're able to transfer it, you're able to do that. There's nothing. It rubs people the wrong way. I get it. I'm not defending it. I don't think it needed to happen, but hey, maybe nobody will buy those seats. As I was checking throughout the day, I don't know that it got all the way to a sellout. I know that there still were some seats. I think whenever I left work, not too long, around 5 o'clock, I think there were still some seats. By the way, shout out to any of the G's who are out there going by themselves and sitting in those singles.
Yeah,
that's some
that's diehard.
That's diehard. That's another level. That's awesome. That's cool. And hey, put some headphones in before the game. You can listen to the podcast beforehand. We'll be your seatmates for a little while, and then you can watch the game whenever it goes. Will shouts out as well, and I don't know if he's actually sponsoring us right now through this. I mean, technically he is if he is, but he has a super chat and he says, please use the Honey app. We'll sponsor Corner of the Galaxy. So if Honey wants to, by the way, I did, and it saved me 10% off something today. I would just like to point out again, it's not a plug, it's not an official plug, but I'm just telling you, I use it and it works. Okay,
and to your point, it's painless. It's you put the extension and it does the work for you. It even reminds you. There's been a couple times where I've gone to check out and the reminder comes up, do you want to use a code? And I was like, yeah, you're right, I should use this app. So again, shameless plug. They're not paying us, or we technically got paid by Will, but it's worth it. It's a good sponsorship that the Galaxy have.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing in the world. So as far as the tickets go, I think we could say crisis averted. It was interesting because it was premium. It was 1996 to 2014 season ticket holders, so continuous tenure season ticket members. So you had people there who had tickets since 1996 to 2014, and then it went 2015 to present. Everybody was worried that 1996 to 2014 group was going to be this super large group that was going to take all the ones for the 1 p.m. I have a feeling, this is just my theory, Eric, that they cut those season ticket members in half with that whenever they did it. And it doesn't reason, but I mean, it takes a lot for people. The longer you go, the harder it is to find people who started in 1996 and, or have a long stretch and a long tenure of that. And so the 11 a.m. people were those people who have been around. I don't know that you can argue with that logic. In terms of they don't deserve it to go before. I mean, if you have to chop people up into groups, the people who have been there the longest, that's probably. I mean, first it's the people who pay the most money. Let's be fair.
Yeah.
First it was the people who pay the most money. Then it was, 1996 to 2014. And again, it feels like looking at those tickets, they chopped it in half whenever they did it, because there was like half the stadium still left whenever the 1 p.m. opened up.
Yeah, I was paying attention today. I didn't see anyone upset, or at least personally, I didn't see anyone upset that group got higher priority. It seems like they earned it. Maybe there were some people who were newer season ticket members and maybe a little bit worried and concerned that they weren't going to be able to get it, and they're worried about that. But I don't think it was having a bone to pick with a season ticket member who's been around since, maybe 2000.
Absolutely is. All right, let's move on now. A little international news, and again, this happened on Tuesday, so it feels like it was forever ago because there was a scrimmage played in between there, and now it's all the way Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday, Good Friday. The LA Galaxy playing on Saturday at 12 noon, so we have all that to talk about. But if you remember, on Monday's show, we didn't get to talk about this because it hadn't happened yet, but we were wondering about how Jonathan Dos Santos was going to play for Mexico. Mexico played Costa Rica, ended up winning 1-0 in the 89th minute. Jonathan Dos Santos played almost 70 minutes for Mexico. Got high remarks from a lot of people that were watching the game, said he looks like he's in really good shape. And so it seems to lend some credence to the fact that perhaps he is 100% physically, Eric, and that, he is going to be, a decision maker sort of for the LA Galaxy this year in terms of if he plays well, the LA Galaxy may play well. We've said that a lot. We said that whenever Zlatan was around, that Jonathan Dos Santos was the key to whether or not the LA Galaxy would win whenever Zlatan was around. Maybe that's true with Chicharito now as well. We don't know because we haven't seen any of those guys play together yet, but we're getting closer. So Jonathan Dos Santos went 68 minutes for Mexico, and then the other, I guess, big news there was Efrain Alvarez did make his Mexican senior team debut in the 81st minute. So he got 9 minutes at the end there and was on the field whenever Mexico scored in the 89th minute to win it 1-0. So as far as I'm concerned, Eric, all good things. Nobody got injured. Yeah. They got some playing time. Hopefully that sparks Efrain's confidence a little bit. What do you take away from all that?
This is when the show gets really boring, when I just nod my head and agree with you furiously. But yeah, Jonathan Dos Santos not getting injured, getting minutes. Efrain Alvarez, getting that confidence, getting a senior team start. And I saw some people mentioning, Efrain comes on and then Mexico scores. Coincidence? So whatever it is, even if that's real or not, it's a confidence boost, and so you definitely see it, and it's appreciated. We also covered this with Leggett, scoring in his matches, and Araujo getting minutes and running out as well. So they didn't get hurt; they got playing time. They're going to come back with confidence, and that's only a positive. And I see that maybe this is a spark. We've talked about Efrain a lot for someone who's not hasn't been an integral part of the LA Galaxy team. Maybe this is the spark that he needs, and to give him that boost that points him in the right direction. So I agree with you that it's all positive. And I have breaking news. Yes. I had my crack research team took me a little bit longer, so I know we moved on from the topic. But going back to tickets, if you want tickets, the link still works. Tickets are still available. I'm seeing some on the Victoria block side, not in the supporter section, but on that corner in the inline side, seeing pods of 4, pods of 2, a lot of single tickets available. Right. But pods of 2, pods of 3. Even if you get the single tickets, they're kind of, you can yell at that person if you want to go together and not be too far. So it didn't sell out. If you want tickets, they are still available.
Yeah. So, okay, very good. Good way to go. By the time this podcast comes out tomorrow, probably not. But no, I mean, it seems like there's still some tickets available. Yeah. We'll see. I mean, there was a chance that the Galaxy opened it up to the public after the season ticket members had their shot at it. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that there might actually be a public sale for that as well. Mm-hmm. And you have to also look at the makeup of the LA Galaxy's fan base in terms of season ticket members versus walkups. And we've always known that walkups were a much larger part of the LA Galaxy's stadium makeup than people sometimes realize. And, don't tell me that it's in the 9,500 range anymore whenever you've seen what the LA Galaxy have done over the last, 3 or 4 seasons. I'm guessing they didn't gain a whole bunch, and they probably have a net loss in there. So if you're around 7,000, if you're around, 6,500, that's probably where that number is. So if you look at, and I think there might be some credence to the fact not everybody wants to come back. Not everybody feels comfortable going into the stadium yet. Totally fine. That's
absolutely a thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's sort of where you can put that. Then the Galaxy might do well to have some extra tickets that go out to the public. And I imagine, and I saw people, there are plenty of people, I know of people that go to almost every LA Galaxy game and don't have season tickets, right? And they don't find the value in it. So there's a chance you could see those people fill in as well.
Yeah, I saw also some people in the chat who mentioned they have a mini plan, so they don't get the full. So maybe they didn't get a crack at it. So maybe this is an opportunity. If that does open up, those people who get those mini plans and, like you mentioned, are going to quite a few games during the regular season, but maybe the fact that there's tickets still available,
Not good.
They may not be able to capitalize on those tickets as well. So that might blow up in their face as well.
I don't love the whole, let me buy the 8 pod and then I'm going to sell 6 of the tickets, and come hang out with me. I mean, I guess, listen, I'm not going to pretend, I'm not going to moral strangle everybody here with vaccine stuff and things like that. Exactly. If you were vaccinated and you feel comfortable and you're going to wear a mask and you can sit next to people, that's your business. At this point, I would suggest against it, but that's me. So anyway, so that's where it is. So we were on to Efra. Efra made his debut. Here's the thing, and we missed this story, and this story was probably right before he ended up playing for Mexico. But ESPN and one of their Mexico-centered reporters wrote about Efrain Alvarez and basically said that Efrain's dad said that Alvarez is being eligible for both teams, and the sort of tug-of-war that's happening between USA and Mexico right now means that he says, quote unquote, he's being traumatized. And this was the quote from that. He says, this is about Efrain. He says, these are very tough decisions because the federations are traumatizing him because they're calling him in at the same time. That was Efrain's dad who says that. Wherever he decides to play, we're going to support him. Efrain's dad basically said, I'm not making this decision for him. He goes, can you imagine him making a decision and then coming back and blaming me? He's like, he's 18. He can make that decision for himself. So, it's, and again, I look at this not from the U.S. perspective, because that's not what this podcast is about. We don't have a national team on this podcast. We cover the LA Galaxy. Whatever is best for the player is best for the player. And what you're seeing is, if this is true, if this is traumatizing him, it's not good for Efrain and the LA Galaxy. So however this is happening, and however Greg Vanney can sort of put his arms around Efrain and shield him from all of this and just help him make calm decisions and try to keep his focus on his club game, and his club game will lead him to those national team decisions. He needs to do that. And if not, and Efrain is going to focus on this and go sideways, Eric, then write him off now, because he already is struggling to find starting minutes. If anything sort of decreases for him, if you see any sort of step back, the LA Galaxy are in the we're going to have to let you go territory here in the next year or two.
Yeah, I'll do my John Lovitz. That's the ticket. You nailed it right on the head there with the there's more club games than national team games. So if you're going to perform well at a club level, then that's going to garner the attention of the national team. So you're absolutely right. It's going to behoove him best, to focus on the Galaxy and play well, and those calls will come because of it. But I also want to give credence to what Efrain's father is saying, because when you look at it from the outside and you say, oh, you have 2 national teams fighting over you, poor guy, how do you really feel bad for this? But when you think about when he got called into the U.S. national camp, all the questions to Greg Berhalter, to other players, to Efrain, it was all focused, who are you going to choose? What are you going to do? And that doesn't let him focus on his game. It becomes this circus surrounding it. So I could totally see where, from a parent perspective, you say, he's not able to focus on the game because everyone's, talking about this tug of war, and it's creating, this trauma of where's he going to go? If he chooses one fan base is going to be upset. Then he's going to feel like he made a mistake. Does he make a change? Does he go back? So I could totally see the credence in him, saying that this is traumatizing, and maybe with comments like this, and when he sees it, he says, okay, maybe I just need to make my selection, choose my national team, and then move forward and keep going. It looks like it's in the direction of the Mexican national team now that he has, that senior team cap, and he's been spending a lot of his youth time with it. It seems like that's the direction he's going, and maybe he'll just stick with it and make it formal, so it's no longer a cloud hanging over his head, and he could just focus on his game.
Well, the good news for the LA Galaxy is Jonathan Dos Santos, Efrain Alvarez, Julian Araujo, Sebastian Lletget, all in Tucson ahead of the LA Galaxy arriving in Tucson on Friday. They'll leave on Friday. They'll get there on Friday. It doesn't take very long, especially not on a plane. On a bus, long time. Plane, no problems. Quick little hop over to Tucson for the Sun Cup that's going to be played down there. It's the Visit Tucson Sun Cup whenever it goes. But this is our pod. We're gonna train together. We're gonna do that. You saw pictures from Sebastian Lletget with Julian Araujo, and then you saw that Jonathan Dos Santos and Efra were there as well. So you have those 4 players already in Tucson waiting for the LA Galaxy. Greg Vanney thinks that he should have all of his players, and that includes Victor Vazquez. That includes Sam Grandsir. I think that's how we're going to end up saying it. It's Grandsir.
I was going to say with Arquitekto Verbal and Grandsir, we're gonna be an international show for sure.
Yeah. And so you do that and you get those guys in there. That's 6 guys that now are what we assume are 5 guys who we assume are part of the starting lineup outside of Efra, who's still a sub. But that's 5 guys who are very, very important to this LA Galaxy team that are there and will be ready to go. And Vanney says, and he said that he's had to learn to do this. He goes, if I did my quarantine math correctly, it's something he had to learn, is quarantine math. He should have everybody training and ready on Wednesday. Wednesday is the day that he should have everybody there. So, and one of the smart things the Galaxy did, I don't know if we talked about this on Monday, but they're sending everybody to Arizona because Arizona has a 5-day quarantine versus the longer quarantine here in California.
It's the back room, boat when they, travel state lines, whatever goes there. But this is why the lineups, now you're going to see your Jonathan Dos Santos, your Julian Araujo.
Do you promise?
You're going to see you're hopefully going to see, the big dogs now, and you're going to see them playing other MLS teams who are probably going to bring their regular teams as well. So that now we're going to really get to see an idea of, what this Greg Vanney team with the first team starters, what are they going to look like? We'll probably only see, halves or whatever, you're not going to see full 90 minutes from them, but you'll get more from these next 3 games than you did for your first 2.
2 super chats we got to take care of. Ben says, I watched Ted Lasso because of you, but now I need a new soccer show recommendation to last until season 2. Ben, I'll suggest this for you, and it worked for me and my wife. We're on our 3rd watching of Ted Lasso. I don't know. There's not really a show you can plug in that fills that whole, like the life coach that is Sir Ted Lasso. I think eventually he gets knighted in this. That's what I think season 2 he gets a knighthood.
I will say, if you haven't already watched Sunderland Till I Die, that's great documentary TV.
If you like to cry,
it's been out. It's been out for a while, so maybe you've already seen it. But if you somehow you missed that one, that's what I'd recommend. I think there are 2 seasons out, and that's just heartbreaking, heart-wrenching soccer drama, and I would recommend that.
Okay, that's a better answer than me just watch it. But I'm serious.
You're also right.
Yes. Okay. Good. And does your wife like it too? Has she watched it? Yeah. Okay. Good.
My wife, who I have to nudge and drag to games until when the Galaxy's on TV, she maybe the phone comes out rather quickly. But Ted Lasso, she was in tears halfway through the season. We burned through because we didn't start it when we didn't go from the week to week. We started it once. I think like 8 of the episodes were out. I think we watched 6 of them that first night. So yeah, my wife's all in. We're a Ted Lasso house.
Yeah, absolutely. So is this one. That's good. And then we have another super chat to take care of. I don't know how to take this one, quite honestly. I don't know if I should be happy, Jose. Jose says, pitching in so you can reactivate that gym membership and get back to rowing ASAP. # Rich Galaxy fans. Is it because I look chubby? I'm just going to say it, Jose. I mean, listen, I know I'm not as skinny as I was when I was rowing, but I feel like I hide it pretty well with like these only waist up shots right now. I mean, don't answer that. I don't want to know.
I was going to say, I am not, I'm not even going to enter this conversation because now that we're getting closer to vaccines, closer to seeing people in public, I definitely need to get back on track. There are people who use this time, this pandemic time to get their bodies together. I was not in that group, unfortunately, so maybe I need to get going. So let's start rowing. Let's get on the Peloton. Let's do the yoga. I'm all on board.
Yeah, I was going to say, the funny thing is Chris Tucker over at the Riot Squadcast, he and I talk all the time, and he's been getting in shape. He's been losing the pounds. And I'm like, he goes, man, he goes, I can't wait to see you. I said, whenever I see you, I'm going to give you a hug. He goes, you'll be able to wrap your arms around me. And I said, well, no, because all the weight you've taken off is just transferred over to me because principle of the universe is, nothing can be destroyed or created, right? And so as he loses weight, I just keep piling it on. So that's sort of what we
mass cannot be destroyed, just transferred. Yeah, just I like that.
Yep, I know. That's how it works. The LA Galaxy announced, I wanted to do this. One of the guys we talked about, obviously Victor Vazquez, was on his Instagram today and was shouting out, or at least taking pictures of his bags, and he's ready to get on the plane. By the way, that's an American Airlines 787 for those of you playing along. And he was going from, I believe, Madrid or certainly Spain somewhere and headed to Miami and then Miami to Tucson. And so he was posting pictures today sort of about where he was and how he was going about that. And so he was going to be he's going to be traveling. I asked before we started, Eric, if there was an update for Victor Vazquez on, and I don't think we've seen him, say, Tucson. Also, I'd like to point out that somebody said that if their first taste of being with the LA Galaxy was to land in Tucson, that they would get up and leave and never come back, which I appreciate 100%. Because is feeling me right now. He asked me which variant of the 787 it was that he was flying on, and I can't tell from here because it's more usually the fuselage gets a little bit longer as you get into the later versions, the 8s and the 9s. So from here, I can't tell. I apologize. I used to be better at that, and usually I'd be able to be like, "Oh no, there's an extra couple windows on that." So no, didn't do it. All right,
time super chat here if you want to address it.
I have to. My good buddy John, who's a flight instructor by the way, and one of my favorite guys. We watched some USL games together as well. A little $15 drop. He says, "You can't make me watch Ted Lasso." John. Listen, it's not what you think. You saw the commercials and you were like, that's stupid. And that's what we all did. We all thought that. And he's asking when the new shirt designs are coming out. And maybe John knows which variant of the 787 that is because he would know better than me. Although we don't really see them at Orange County all that. Well, not at all because the runway's not long enough, FYI. So John, thank you for that. I appreciate it. And I owe you a beer because that's where you gave us $15. I'll buy you a beer. I lose $1 on that deal. So that's,
I was going to say that's one premium michelada inside the stadium, so he's earned it.
Yes, absolutely. So that's where we sit with that. Let's get to a little bit of a time change. The LA Galaxy announced this. I thought there was going to be some like big revealing reason for all this, and I'll tell you what the reason was here in a second. But the LA Galaxy announced that the June 19th match against the Seattle Sounders, which is at home, goes from a 7:30 p.m. kickoff on a Saturday to a 6 p.m. kickoff on a Saturday. The TV broadcaster did not change, Eric. Not at all. So that wasn't the reason for it. Really, it's just 90 minutes earlier, and that's all there is to it. Still on Spectrum Sportsnet. This is the last game before the LA Galaxy kick off that midweek. They start those midweek games, right? And we talked before that the LA Galaxy are going to play 15 games this season, almost half their games, on short rest. And when you look at this is like sort of right before the edge. So if you're looking for any positives, the positive sort of becomes that the LA Galaxy get 90 extra minutes of rest before they play a midweek game. That midweek against Vancouver, and who knows if that's in Vancouver or if it's in Salt Lake at that point. But that's it. That's it. I'll let you talk about it, and then I'll tell you the actual reason why. Maybe you can guess it.
Okay, well, my guess is going to be whenever you go to that game against Vancouver, there's going to be some type of travel involved, so it maybe gives you a little bit of a head start. If things go as they're looking, it might be Real Salt Lake or in that area, so maybe you get a little bit of extra flight time and getting there a little bit sooner if you decide to take off early and acclimate. They didn't do that in years past. Usually they went closer to the game time, so maybe it doesn't. So that's the only thing I could think of is maybe it helps with getting an earlier flight or getting that rest to maybe an early flight in the morning, right. So that it's not as close together to that late game. So what's the real reason?
I asked the LA Galaxy. The response was MLS wanted us to. It worked out for both teams, so we did it. There you go.
There you go. Done and done.
Sometimes we create these conspiracy theories in our minds, and it's just like, no, it was easier for everyone. I'm sure somebody requested it. I'm sure somebody said, let's do this earlier because of this reason. And if it's MLS, maybe they were trying to fit it into a broadcast window, even understanding that, yes, locally it's broadcast on Spectrum Sportsnet, but on ESPN Plus, that game gets picked up and broadcast across everybody who's outside of the coverage area, right? And not in that.
Yeah. TV is the right answer. That's definitely TV scheduling.
Why not? I responded back and I said, could you please tell Don Garber that my son doesn't go to bed till 7 p.m. and so the 6 p.m. thing is harder to sell to my wife than the 7:30 p.m. thing is. But I don't think that's going to happen. Mike Gray, a little $5 super chat in there as well. He says, I'm just here to call John a wet blanket. Thank you, Mike, for John not watching are not watching Ted Lasso. Almost, I should probably kick John from the chat room because he's not watching, but he gave me $15, so I'm gonna allow it. So anyway, so that's where we sit with that game. Let's see. I talked about ticket in, but listen, there are still tickets available for the Sun Cup if you want to go. That last game now is the one that is the hardest one to get into. I don't know that there are tickets available for the RSL game, but it's one of those things that if you want to go to fctucson.com, that's where you can find out if there are tickets. And Eric's probably over there like, I'm going to Tucson. I can do this. I can make it happen.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely, no, it's not happening. The resort area of Tucson's very nice, Eric, by the way. Very nice. And I've been there a bunch of times. It's just, the university. I don't know what to tell you. The roster update. Let's give you a little roster update. LA Galaxy lost a player today. Not really. They lost him earlier, but we were watching this. Eric Lopez, the LA Galaxy goalkeeper, who has been playing at Galaxy 2 and so has come up as sort of a senior team. He's a homegrown player. We know all about this. And he was one of 4 Galaxy goalkeepers. The Galaxy are not going to have 4 goalkeepers on their roster in 2021. They'll probably have 3. And my guess is that one of those might be short-term loans down to Galaxy 2. And more than likely, it's going to be that there's going to be 2. You're going to have Jonathan Bond and Jonathan Klinsmann as your 1 and your number 2. That's where you sit. And Vom Stieg, maybe he can jump Klinsmann. I don't know. I mean, that's sort of where the battle is right now. But the LA Galaxy have made up their mind, it seems, right now on Eric Lopez. And this wasn't a surprise. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say he seemed to be the odd man out. When he got signed, it was almost like because the homegrown deal and you felt good about it, but never cracked. I don't think he cracked any 18 or 23 or even, he wasn't able to get even on a bench spot. I don't recall last season. So the writing was on the wall that he was going to be the odd person out in this, going from 4 keepers to 3.
Yeah. So he is on what we imagine to be a season-long loan to Galaxy 2. So that takes him off of the senior roster, and that moves him down to the Galaxy 2 roster. That means the LA Galaxy now have 26 players on that roster, 26 of 30, and this is where we're starting to whittle things down. Guys who are playing up with the senior team, though, still, you have Cuevas, and you have Augie Williams, and then you have the 2 draft picks who we did get to see a little bit of in Drac and Judd. Drac mostly, yeah. Josh Drac. So we've been, that's sort of where we sit. There's not enough room for all those guys, telling you right now. So most of those guys probably ain't cutting it, aren't going to make it. Maybe one of those guys. I don't think either of the draft picks are going to get picked up right now. It doesn't feel that way. But if you look at LA Galaxy 2 and what they can do, I don't know, and you like them, so I'm kind of rooting for him to make it, but I don't see both of them staying. I think it's one or the other, and striker to me is the weaker position. But maybe you could loan Ethan Zubak down to G2 if you wanted to.
Yeah, well, they'll figure it out. I think Williams that's going to be. It's a matter of when, not if. As far as the draft picks, I think Drac maybe has been getting a little more run than Judd, and then we're also we might find out the answer to our question when he got drafted, if that contract with the other team, if that holds weight, if they don't sign him, if he's able to go back. I think it was Sporting Kansas City who had his rights, so maybe it's a blessing in disguise for Judd if he doesn't end up getting signed. But out of those 2, it looks like Drac maybe is getting more of a run than Judd.
Daddy, I was going to say, I love all these screen names in here. It's like, well, call me Daddy. That's how it works.
Daddy Yankee.
Yeah, Daddy Yankee gave us a little $5 here. It says Galaxy 2 at Orange County Great Park this season, and it's a fun stadium. It's a great stadium to go watch like lower level teams. It's so much fun. I wonder what their capacity issues are going to be there because it's such a small stadium, like 20% of 3,500, I think. So yeah, I mean, not a whole bunch of people there, but if you get a chance, yeah,
but for that team, maybe when you connect the percentage that are going to go to fill the Galaxy Stadium, you'll probably get a similar percentage, at the Orange County Great Park there. Right. So, but you're right, you do get close quarters, and it is a great place to watch a game.
Let's answer 2 questions in the chat right now. Gabriel's asking, is there any news on what is going on with Dominic Kinnear? He is no longer with the LA Galaxy. He'll probably sit out and be quiet because I think everybody's getting paid until at least June. And I think all the money owed will basically be paid to those guys by June, is one of the things I heard the last time. Usually it's paid through the entire next year, but I think maybe there was an accelerated payment twiddle on this, or accelerated payment system on this, however they ended up doing. But Dom is not going to stay with the LA Galaxy. And then Dre Sound asked, when's Pavone's court date? He was already in court. He already did everything. We have absolutely no updates on that. He was back to training, and he has changed his name. He has changed his Instagram account to say that he plays for Boca and not for the LA Galaxy, or at least he took the LA Galaxy off there. Not a surprise, because he is a Boca player, and he's back to training, and he's trying to rehab from all the injuries. That was it. I mean, there's not a lot there right now.
Well, I'd say I'd push back and say that the lot part of that is that he's. Excuse me. It sounds like I'm getting emotional. I'm not.
Yes.
I have something in my throat. And you're right. Instagram tells a story when you take the Galaxy off that it's whatever your meter was, which direction it was pointing us. It's closer to the Boca side now than the Galaxy side.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and again, it feels like it's going to be a long played out thing. So MLS Players Association released financial data on the hardship payments that they paid to players last year. Now, everybody knows that the players took, I think, a 5% overall cut on their salaries in 2020. And because of that, the Players Association, or the Players Union, basically went in and said, we know you're not getting all your money, to sort of make up for that. And so they did that too. And their quote here is that every active MLS player as of June 1st, 2020 received payments. That is the statement that came from the MLSPA. And this is all from the Athletic. Athletic did a great job on this as you look at it. So the MLSPA released the financial data. The guy who took the largest payment, and by the way, we said it's percentages. So that means if you make more, you're going to get more. So the guy who took the largest percentage of that payment was Chicharito. He made $102,129 from that hardship payment. So they gave him $100,000 basically to sort of help offset what he wasn't going to get from his contract. That came out of the MLSPA strike fund. That was their own cash and all this stuff. If you go to the Athletic, they'll give you all of the interesting things on there. He was the highest person listed, and they said that they had to list every person that they gave money to, and they said that all players that were active in MLS as of June 1st received payments. So that should indicate that everybody is on this list. But the Athletic also points out that Josie Altidore, who is a very high-paid player in Major League Soccer, was not on this list, and that Carlos Vela over at LAFC was not on this list, and the union didn't respond with why that was. It could be, and we have to theorize because we don't know. One of the reasons is that maybe they decided to decline that money in some way, but it said that every player that was active received a payment. So they should have been on the list somewhere if that was the case. Or they didn't get pay cuts because their contracts basically said it doesn't matter if there's a pandemic, we still get all of our money, right? And so that could have been the thing, because that happened in the NBA. I think there were like 6 or 7 players from one agent who all had this pandemic clause written into it that says, even if there's a pandemic, we still get all our money. And so those guys didn't get any pay cuts. So that could also be one of the reasons that is in here, but there's no explanation. But obviously the higher earners took the most amount of money. The lower earners would get a smaller chunk of that as it goes along.
Yeah, that's again, I'm nodding furiously and agreeing. When you're the highest paid player in the league, you're going to get the highest percentage of whatever payments go out. And I thought that maybe, someone, like our neighbor across town there, maybe because they didn't play MLS's back, that had something to do with, payments maybe getting a lesser cut or whatever it is. But you're right, it could have to do with a clause in the contract.
Yeah, we'll see if it is how it goes and all those different things. So just a little side note on that. The Athletic also came through with another little interesting piece. And whenever you look at it, we talked about the LA Galaxy and how many games they would be playing on national television. We talked about, sort of how important they are to MLS. But the Athletic went through and actually totaled everybody's national TV appearances. And the LA Galaxy and LAFC have the most national television appearances, 16 for the LA Galaxy, 16 for LAFC. That spans across a whole bunch of different networks, and the LA Galaxy get those 2 ABC games as well, which is a lot of fun. So ABC and ESPN combined, Fox and FS1 combined. There you have Univision, you have Unimas. So whenever you look at that, it's 16. The interesting thing is, and maybe it's not interesting at all, is that if you look at the 3 Canadian teams, they have 0 nationally televised games in the United States, but obviously they have nationally televised games in the in Canada.
was going to say the great nation of Canada will birth it, but not national from a U.S. perspective.
Yeah, that's correct. So you would expect that. And one of the surprises is that DC United only has one nationally televised game, and that the New York teams are at the bottom of those as well. New York City FC is at 5, and New York Red Bulls is at 4, and one of those games is against the LA Galaxy. Coming up here for the season, for the home opener for the LA Galaxy.
And my big takeaway from this is, and we're going to toot our own horn, or toot the Galaxy's own horn here, is as bad as things have been, and the Galaxy having an off season and not making the playoffs and not looking, basically looking like a shell of your former self. Even with all that, they're still a highly rated team, and you can point to the ratings. At the end of the day, if people weren't interested in the team, if they weren't a marquee franchise, they wouldn't want to. Networks won't want to put them on TV. So the fact that they're still up there, with the Atlanta Uniteds, with the Seattle Sounders, those teams who have been, consistently well over the last few seasons, the fact that they're up there shows that there's still an interest in the LA Galaxy, and their brand is still very, very strong because there's still a huge interest in getting them on TV.
Yeah, it's again, you get a lot of, if you didn't like Spectrum, you got the best possible solution to that, which is to have the least amount of games you could possibly have on Spectrum, because there's so many nationally televised games that are coming up for the LA Galaxy. So we told you the LA Galaxy are going on Friday to Tucson. They will play 3 matches basically in 10 days. So it's 10 days in Tucson. I say that the SoCal portion of their preseason is done, Eric, and mostly that's because when you look at the Galaxy, they're not playing any more games whenever they come back from Tucson. There'll still be a little bit of training and doing some stuff. But what will happen in Tucson is that the LA Galaxy will play against Sporting Kansas City on Saturday, April 3rd. That's a 12 p.m. Pacific time kickoff. All these times are Pacific time. Wednesday, April 7th, they'll play against the Colorado Rapids at 3 p.m. And then the final game, the 5 p.m. game at Saturday, April 10th, which I believe is sort of like the defining game of the Sun Cup, is the LA Galaxy versus RSL. And so that game, all 3 of those games, LAGalaxy.com, 12 p.m., 3 p.m., 5 p.m., Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. So the Galaxy, at least one of those games, Eric, and hopefully it's that last game where you're going to see like, hey, we're going to play a real game. This is a real game now. There's, we're going to use the subs the way we're going to use them. We're going. This is a dress rehearsal for what's going to happen. In 8 days, basically, whenever they're done with this game in Tucson. So that should be the best look that we have of what this LA Galaxy team could be.
Yeah, and that's how we've seen the preseason work out in years past, is leading up to it. That last game is where you see your starters get the biggest run out, and you see your best lineup. And you're right, it is a dress rehearsal for what's going to happen in Miami the following week. So I agree, especially with players who are waiting to quarantine. Maybe this game against Sporting Kansas City, you don't get everyone back, or you get them in limited minutes. But by the time they play on the 10th, I think you're going to see you're going to get a good idea of what this team is going to look like against Miami.
All right, Eric, I think I'm done for the night, but I wanted to give us one more shot at a little Riot at the Tailgate again. The name of the song is Riot at the Tailgate. The artist is Arquitekto Verbal. This song is dropping on April 16th. The album, labeled 1996, comes out on the 25th, the day the LA Galaxy have the home opener against New York Red Bulls. So you'll be able to bop this all the way to Dignity Health Sports Park whenever it comes out. We'll give you links. We'll do all that. Certainly want to thank them for giving us that. But let's get a little bit, just a little small taste of what you can expect whenever this song drops. And for those of you complaining about the volume last time, I'll try to bump it up a little bit for you.
Hit the stadium, welcome to the tailgate. La carne asada, las cervezas, and them fine babes. Throw on a jersey and represent for LA. Let's keep it pushing through the 110 on the freeway. So bring the soccer ball, we getting at the soccer moms. Politic with OGs, waiting till the game is on. 121, sit behind the goalie bond. Sunday night soccer, call me when the game is on. Gotta put the flags up, Kobe with the mask up. Cosmo in the galaxy, we about to blast off. Oh yeah, it's about to be lit. In the sky with the fireworks to go with a chip. We about them micheladas, come and get me a sip. Gotta show us some love, come and chill for a bit. Seen a go for the fame, or a hat with a trick. So don't go for them lames, be a
All right, there we go. Again, we'll give you all the information whenever that song drops right at the tailgate. Again, big thanks to Arquitekto Verbal for allowing us to play some songs for him, and hopefully everybody will get out there and support this wonderfully talented, amazing artist. So a lot of fun. Can't wait to see what the rest of the album is. You're going to enjoy it. All right, Eric, is there anything else that you want to get to, or can we be done as well?
I think we're pretty close to being done. Just next 10 days or so, we'll keep an eye on what happens with them, but not urgent at the moment, but I'm sure that'll be something down the line. And then the last thing is I am getting some texts, from John Vieira, my dad, #1 fan, watching the show.
Yes.
Shout out to you, Dad. Thanks for watching. Thanks for texting me and giving me updates. Love you, man.
That's awesome. I love it. Hey, Dad, how's it going? Good to see you. Thank you for listening. The Miami thing is interesting. They canceled 3 games. They had 3 preseason scrimmages, and they canceled all 3 of them because of that. I imagine that it all gets sorted by opening day, but not a great start for Miami in terms of not being able to play those games and do that stuff. All right, Mr. Eric, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira, sir, why don't you go ahead and take us out of here?
I'd like you to call me Sieur. Again, you could always find me on Twitter at HammerEV, and you could always find me on Instagram at Galaxy Profile. That's Galaxy PROFOUL.
All right, and if you're looking for me on Twitter, it's at Guesman, JGUESMAN, and of course at Galaxy Podcast. Head on over, cornerthegalaxy.com. We have game recaps, we have previews, we all that fun stuff. Preseason mode still activated. LA Galaxy playing against Sporting Kansas City, 12 p.m. Pacific time, LAGalaxy.com. That's where you can find the game. All right, I think that does it. We're done. We played some music. We had some fun. For Eric the Portuguese Hammer Vieira, I'm Josh Pato Guesman, and you've been watching Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Have a great one, everybody.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast. And be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. Fans, we thank you for listening, and we ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.